So, Mr. Hislop, thanks for coming down to Has-Beens today. Let the folks at home know and on the internet, why are you running for Humboldt County Sheriff?
Well, I see that there's a disconnect between the Sheriff's Office and the community that it serves. And when I mention communities, I mean, I think we'd all agree that Humboldt County is a pretty diverse group of people. So the law enforcement that we provide here in Eureka may not fit in Southern Humboldt. The law enforcement that we provide in Southern Humboldt may not fit in Hoopaw or the Native American lands. So we need to, what I've been saying all along, feel the pulse of the community and then react to it. Typically, law enforcement, specifically the Sheriff's Office, has been very reactive instead of proactive. They've been very myopic in their service. They've been doing things for 30 years, and we're going to keep doing things for 30 years, even though the community has been changing the whole time. We need to reconnect with the community, listen to them, and find out what kind of law enforcement service they want and then provide it. That's not happening right now.
And what kind of accomplishments in local law enforcement do you feel have prepared you for serving as the top sheriff?
Well, they're numerous. I started out as a deputy sheriff and a correctional officer in Lake County. That was at the ripe age of 18. I was hired by Eureka Police Department. I went through the ranks there up to sergeant. I was a detective, corporal, sergeant, SWAT team member, training officer. Pretty much everything you can do in law enforcement I've done at Eureka Police Department. I then promoted to chief investigator at the Humboldt County District Attorney's Office, where we've put some great cases together. My education background is I have an Associate of Science in Administration of Justice. I have a Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice. I am a graduate of the 198th FBI Academy. I'm also a graduate of the National Fire Academy. And I possess two other degrees in, unrelated degrees in manufacturing technology. With my education and my almost 31 years of experience, I'm going to be able to bring the Sheriff's Department closer to the community and make that connection, which I think is imperative.
Now, in terms of rural law enforcement, we have some really far-flung areas of the county. How do you feel they're being served by the Humboldt County Sheriff's Office, and what would you do to improve that?
Well, again, my whole platform, I've been saying all along that the rural areas are not being served very well. I speak to folks every day in my job and traveling the county during this campaign. They're not happy with the service. The poor response time. If you get your car broken into, you get a mail-in report that doesn't go anywhere. All that is going to change, and we can do it without impacting the budget. You can see the last 3 years I've been the chief investigator, and see some of the accomplishments that we've done in my investigative bureau. We re-equipped them with new vehicles and state-of-the-art equipment. We've put together huge cases that no one else could solve and brought them to closure and put people in prison. I have, through my management skills, I have investigators that are getting state and national awards. That's unheard of. You've never heard of that in an investigative bureau. Again, those talents of identifying how to motivate people to do good service is imperative. And I've learned that through my 30 years experience and my formal education, how to manage people and how to budget people. So with those tools, I'm going to be able to revamp the budget, streamline it, so we can get more people out in the rural areas. I think it's imperative. They're not being serviced very well.
The current sheriff, Mr. Philp, defeated his predecessor, Dennis Lewis, served for 8 years. He's retiring, stepping down voluntarily. What would be your assessment of his time in office? What would you really want to do differently?
Well, the big difference is reconnecting with the community, like I've been saying. We need to listen to the community and then react to it and provide a better service. I think Sheriff Phelps has done a good job. I think I'm going to be able to do a much better job simply by revamping the budget, streamlining the Sheriff's Office so we can get more deputy sheriffs and supervisors and managers out on the streets so they can work with the community.
One thing Mr. Philp was involved in is the whole pepper spray incident at former Congressman Frank Riggs' office here in Eureka. Obviously, 13 years has passed by since then. Is that the sort of incident you think things have moved on long enough in the department that that's not likely to reoccur?
Oh, I think so. Like you said, that was 13 years ago, and time will tell. Things pop up that you really don't have control over. It's just in how you manage those things that pop up or what's critical. And I think I have the education and I have the experience and the trust already of the community where, and that's another big issue, is trust with the community. Right now there's factions of our county that they don't trust law enforcement. And that's going to be one of my priorities, is everybody should be able to trust their law enforcement. And once you gain that trust, things like the pepper spray, being connected with the community, people understand how it happened, why it happened, and you're not going to have such a huge outcry.
Now, in terms of those budget crunches that the county is facing, suppose the Sheriff's Department is asked to make further cuts. How do you triage out what's essential to preserve and what you think could be trimmed in these tough budget times?
Well, the first thing, the only promise I'm making in this campaign, and I've stuck to that also, is before a deputy or correctional officer gets a pink slip saying that they're getting laid off, I'm taking a pay cut myself. I think it's imperative. If we truly are in a budget crisis, I don't know why typically the rookie officer that's just starting a family gets the pink slip and he's out of a job. If we're truly in a budget crisis, everybody should take a pay cut so we can keep people working and keep deputies on the streets. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pay cut myself.
And any other sort of budget fixes you think you'd like to take a look at?
Well, there's other issues. Well, there's 5. I've kept to this also. There's 5 lieutenants running patrol. There's 2 lieutenants and a captain running the jail. I think we're top heavy. I think those lieutenants, we don't need as many lieutenants. We can, by through attrition, get rid of a few lieutenants and maybe pick up some more deputy slots. Now, I've been saying this all along, and from what I hear, there is 1 lieutenant that's retiring and they're going to freeze that position. So what I've been saying all along is we have too many managers, we need to have more deputies, and the county apparently, it hasn't been confirmed yet, is going to freeze a lieutenant's position once that person retires. So the things that I've been saying are starting to come to fruition. The other issue is you have a lieutenant in the dog pound. He's a very competent officer and manager, but he basically has 1 deputy he supervises, and that is a huge waste of resources. The dog pound should be managed by a civilian position that's a lot less than what a lieutenant is getting paid. So there's quite a few areas that you can rearrange personnel to save money, and that's going to be paramount.
Now, speaking of those personnel, it was quite an interesting sight at the Eureka Courthouse, a protest that had erupted right there along 101 last year. Wasn't your usual cast of protesters. It was local law enforcement sheriff's deputies who were protesting their lack of pay parity with other law enforcement locally and across the state. How do you feel relations are between management, in this case the sheriff and the county administrative office, and the deputies union, and what would you do to change that?
Well, I think it's good. I think I can make it a lot better. Pay is a big issue, and parity with other counties is, I don't think we're ever going to be at parity until we get industry in this county where we can have a tax base. You can't run a government without a tax base. So it's a concern. But the thing is in order to keep deputy sheriffs and correctional officers before we get to that point where we can get them close to parity, is you need to make the job fun, and you need to make the workplace a good workplace to be. And I'm very good at that. I look at my investigative bureau. I don't have a problem hiring investigators. I have quite a long list of people that want to work for me, and it's because I make it the workplace a great place to be, and I put fun back into police work. And that's what I'm going to bring to the sheriff's office.